Hi guys, this is Nadia from Embodied Crafts, and today I want to show you how to create a double channel set cuff bracelet. Don't forget to subscribe because I upload new stuff all the time. Also, if you like this tutorial and share your version on social media, it would be absolutely awesome if you could give my channel a quick mention because it really helps me grow my audience. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to use much shorter wires to demonstrate because it's much easier. So just follow the written instructions to get the right length for you. So we're going to be attaching our weaving wire to the base, somewhat to the left, and we're leaving about a 10 centimeter 2-inch tail of the weaving wire to the left, and roughly about 5 centimeters or so, I don't know what that is in inches. And we're going to wrap around both wires twice, like so, and then we are going to come in between wire 1 and 2 and wrap around the top wire once, coming back down from behind in between wire 1 and 2 and around the base wire, and then we go around the top and go around both wires twice again, come in between the two wires, wrap around the top, come in between the two wires and wrap around the bottom, and then we start the process again. So twice around both, come in between once around the top, come in between once around the bottom, and then once again wrap around both wires before starting the process again, around the top, and then obviously around the bottom. And that's what it looks like so far. A little bit out of focus here, so I'm just going to zoom in a bit better for you. So this is what it looks like. A very simple weave. There we go. We're going to continue. So I've done 2 sets of that, so repeat that was another set. And next we are going to add in a third wire, and this wire is going to contain or harp, I don't really know how you call that, 2 4mm round beads, or whatever you have available. You can decide whatever you like to have there is fine. So we're going to add 2 beads, and we're going to wrap the weaving wire in between those 2 beads. And I've added 2 beads because it really helps with the spacing. So it just means that the beads will maintain the gap if you have 2 and not just 1. So it's really useful. So wrap the weaving wire around the third wire once, just once, like so, and keep that nice and tight, and that's what it looks like so far. Next we're going to bring in the half round, and we're going to repeat that. So again, the beads are going to maintain the gap, so we are going to add the half round and then wrap around the half round just once, like so, and try and maintain. It's a little bit fiddly at this stage because it's obviously quite unstable, so just take your time with that. And then we're going to come back up once we've wrapped around half round once, and we're going to go back up again once around the third wire in between the 2 beads, and then we're coming from behind around the 2 top wires, and we start the process again. We wrap around twice around the top wires, and we start the same weaving process again. So we're going to go in between once around the top and once around the bottom, and then we start the process again, the weaving wire. So twice around both wires, and once around the top and once around the bottom. Now you need to create enough of this weave to span the width of the bead. Okay, so for me this has been about 5 sets of this weave. So we're going to continue and create about 4 sets because that would be long enough to span the width of the bead. And once we've done that, we're going to do exactly the same for the bottom section. So we need to obviously bring in the second set of weaving we did before and add in another row of beads. So in comes another length of wire. So we're going to add the beads again like we did at the top. So add your 2 beads to the 4th round wire we're going to be added in, not counting the second set of weaves for the bottom half. So that's the 4th half round we're bringing in. So obviously take your time with that. It's a bit skew here, but just make sure that the wires are straightened out. It makes things a lot easier, but at this point it's not too wild if it isn't exactly straight. You can always adjust it later. So again, bit fiddly here. So hold these all in place, and we're going to repeat with the new bottom like what we did at the top. So we need to take the weaving wire, wrap it once around the wire holding the bead in between the 2 beads. So wrap it around. Oops, that bead disappeared. So we're going to wrap around this once, and then come up and wrap around the half round. So note that we have 2 sets of weaving wire, one for the top and one for the bottom. So we wrapped around the half round, and now we're coming to go back. We're going to go back down, wrap around the wire holding the beads, and add a new bead again. That will really help with spacing, so you don't pull. If you pull the wire too tight, it can distort the shape. So the beads always help with spacing. So add it back in. I'm trying at least. Here we are. No, it didn't want to sit. So the beads are quite small, so they tend to not want to sit. There we go. So push it back in, and then I'm going to go start the process with the weave again, twice around both wires. That's the second wrap, and then we're going to repeat the same weave. So it's exactly the same as we've done all along. Just trying to zoom in here so you can see, sometimes it goes out of focus. So repeat the process once around the top and bottom wire. So this time it's the bottom. And then we are going to repeat the process until you have spanned the bead, which amounts to about 4 sets of this weave. For me anyway, as I said, it depends on the size of bead you're using. So we are attaching to the half round every other bead, or every bead. I can't actually remember what I did here. I think it's every bead. So you can do that. Also just depends on how you want it to look, so that's also personal preference. So we're just doing the weave until we've got enough, and I always like to compress the weave to make sure it looks neat and tidy. So that's what it looks like. And at this stage I like to bring in a clamp. So I'm going to show you, this is a piece I've already finished, and this is what the whole thing looks like once it's done. I'm going to show you quickly how to use that ring clamp. It was really handy little tool to have when you've got multiple wires to work with, like in this bracelet. So I recommend you get one if you do more projects like this. I certainly found it really handy to have. So it's a great little tool because it really helps you control the wire, and you don't really have to worry about holding on to the wires as well as weaving. So it's really super handy. So as I said, I'm just counting the sets of weaves, and we need about 4 sets of this. So disregard the way the weaves look. This is a sort of different video I've taken. I just wanted to show you quickly how to use this. So we're going to use the clamp and hold and put all the weaving wires in it, all the base wires, and then simply push the wedge in from the end, and this is what it looks like. So now we're back to the weave that I have just started, and this is what it looks like. You can see there's much more control over the wires, so it makes the weaving that much easier, especially if you now have a much longer length of wires, so it's a lot more fiddly to do. So I find it really helpful. So once again, we are repeating this, and I am at the moment going to go around the half round. And remember that we have 2 sets of weaving wires, and I'm working with the bottom set. So I've gone around the half round, and I'm going to go back down and start the weave afresh, which means I'm going to go twice around the 2 bottom wires, like so. You can see that with longer wires it takes a lot more time. So once around the bottom, once around the top, and then we repeat. And as always, I like to use my bent nose pliers to make sure the weave is tidy. So I always tend, when I do this type of weave, to do the wrap around the half round from the top first. So I do the top half first, and I wrap the wire from the top half around the half round first, and then I wrap the weaving wire from the bottom half second, just to keep it in some sort of sequence, to make it look more symmetrical, so as not to keep swapping around which wire comes from the bottom or top first. I hope that all makes sense, but you'll see what I mean when we get a little bit further along. It's just for symmetry, really. It's not that important. I just like to do it that way. So once again, it's twice around both wires. We open up the wires, and then it's once around the top and once around the bottom wire. Push your weaves together. Now be careful not to compress it too much, otherwise it starts to become uneven. And now we obviously have to add in more beads. You can see it's a lot more difficult when you have longer wires. But as I said, you can see how much the ring clamp actually gives you the freedom to just, put your piece down when you're working, which can be a bit more difficult when you don't have anything to hold on to. And that's what it looks like. And then we're just going to continue with that until you've got a full bracelet length. So this is what it looks like, and we're going to create the ending like this. So I've done one side. I'm going to show you how to do it on the other side. So obviously you need to decide how much you need. So leave a little bit of space, like a 2 centimeter gap, where you can put the findings. And then we're going to continue with the weave that we've done all along, except no beads. So we're going to do about 6 sets of that weave. So twice around both wires, once around the top, once around the bottom, and we're doing this for 6 sets on either side. Obviously you can go longer if you want to. That's just the length that I've gone. Make sure it's neat and tidy. I like to kind of straighten out the half round. Now if you don't have half round, you don't have to use half round. It can be a different kind of wire as well. It's just what I had on hand. So once we've done that, we take the wires that house the beads, and we're going to wrap each wire top and bottom around the half round once. Just once. It's to work away with it, get it away, and because we can't just cut it off, obviously, because it would the beads would just fall off. So we're using that wire to wrap around the half round once, and then we're going to trim this wire off, and that's what it looks like so far. So trim that wire off, and this is a nice way to secure those wires that hold the beads. And then the next step is to bend the weaves in. So we're going to bend 2 wires that hold the weave in, and we're going to wrap the remaining wires from that around the half round. So I'm doing it staggered. I'm doing one from one side and then one from the other, just so that it looks better. So wrap it around, try and be as neat and tidy as you can, and flatten the weave a little bit, looks much better. And then do the other side. And lastly, we repeat the process with the last wire on each side, and this kind of wraps all of the base wires from the outside of the bracelet around the core, which is the half round, and then we're going to trim them all off. Just obviously try and trim them off in such a manner that you can still tuck them away so they don't get hooked on clothing. So that's what it looks like, and it's actually quite a sort of neat and tidy way to do this. And what we need to do next, create a little loop, and that's why the half round is great for this, because it's obviously quite thick and sturdy, so that's why I recommend to use half hard for this. So then using your round nose pliers or your bail making pliers, you can then just create a loop. And I'm going to trim off, so make sure you don't use your expensive cutters for that. Use heavy duty ones because it can damage them. And we're just going to create a little loop at the end, and half round for this is a necessity. You can use some 1.6mm round wire if you don't have half round. That's totally fine, as long as it's thick enough to withstand, the test of time when you're wearing the bracelet. You don't want the wire to break, so make sure it's thick enough to hold up. So I had to shorten it a bit. And now I'm just kind of rolling the half round in on itself. Bend it in, and then just shape it until you're happy with the way it looks. And that's what it looks like. So the last step is to just add your findings, a bit of chain, and that's that. So that's how you make this bracelet. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And why not pop over to my Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok page and see what I get up to. It's all under Mbali Crafts. I've got brand new tutorials on my website, also Mbali Crafts, and workshops that are downloadable. Also, why not visit our little Facebook group, which is called Wire Wrap and Jewelry Artists Worldwide. We're a fun bunch, as I always say, because we've got some amazing members, and it's always a bit of fun to partake in what we get up to. So it'd be absolutely amazing to have you there. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we get to see you soon.